Hi, I am Niharika Nanda and you are listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show.
Google DeepMind was founded with that vision and it is part of our mission statement to build AI responsibly.
Gen AI is definitely here to stay. It's a real game changer for Indian businesses or businesses anywhere.
One of the big paradigm shifts that's happened with generative AI is the accessibility of AI. Because now you are able to engage with the intelligence with AI in natural language and increasingly in voice. In fact, now there is what we call multimodality, which means AI is able to see, you are able to talk to it, and audio, etc.
And fast forward to OpenAI's GPT-3.5 launch. Finally, we had this very open-ended conversation that you can have with a computer. And since then, it's gotten better and better and better. And we see every week there's a new model that comes out that pushes the envelope on what you can do with AI.
In all of these cases, AI has played a huge role on recommendation, curation, and also now generation.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how our teams have leveraged it across multimodal text, image, and video.
Artificial intelligence, probably the most discussed topic in the tech space. These are excerpts from our tech podcast, Our Own Devices, where host Nandagopal Rajan, COO the Indian Express Online, talks to people from the realm of tech. And he joins us today to take a look back at the year that technology and AI has had and to discuss what all we can look forward to in 2025. This week on the show, we've been looking back at some of the biggest moments of 2024. Till now, we've talked about the biggest events that shaped politics this year, the trends in the health sector, and the key changes adopted by the judiciary in 2024. And today, we are focusing on prominent trends in tech. Nanda, to begin with, what would you say were the major developments that we see in 2024 as far as tech is concerned?
So again, in the tech space, a lot of the conversation is now around AI. So we saw a lot of new versions come out across different models. OpenAI came up with multiple versions. Then Facebook came up with the Llama, Meta, LLM. It was baked into almost all the Facebook products. So you had a lot of things happening in AI. But if you ask me what was the biggest transition that we saw in AI is the impact of agents, right? So we had a new way of using AI by saying that, hey, you can actually get agents to do a lot of things for you. You don't need to prompt everything, and you create an agent to do a certain thing, and then the agent gets better and better at doing it. It also pulls you into the loop, as in the human into the loop, whenever they think something has gone beyond their space. So that, I think, is the biggest impact of this year from an AI perspective. In the larger, gadgets and personal tech space, I think computing power getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So it could be from a personal computing space, like let's say your new Apple Mini is now as good as what Apple had put out in a Mac Studio a few years back. It's maybe more powerful, but it's in a tiny computer that you can hold in your hand, right? On the other end of the spectrum, you have quantum computing come in with Google's new chip, which is promising. You can't say it's here yet. It's promising to solve maybe the problems that would have taken 100 years in a few seconds. It's that powerful. And in the middle of these two extremes is the NVIDIA GPUs, which can now give you solutions from an AI perspective within seconds. Things that would have taken hours earlier. So compute is becoming much, much powerful than before. So I think these two would be the big trends, right, in 2024, if you ask me.
Right. And if we talk about your personal choice, what was something that stood out for you in particular this year?
See, I think, for instance, that smartphone cameras are becoming really, really good, to the extent that a lot of photography that you do with a smartphone now is as good as what you would do with a proper camera, right? And I'm saying this primarily after having used one device, which was this Vivo X200 Pro, which really blew my mind on what a camera can actually achieve in a smartphone. And again, smartphone cameras have been long for a really long time, but now it's getting more and more into the space of the actual camera. The cameras themselves, very interestingly, are becoming more creator-led. The proper cameras are thinking about how do I cater to the creative space? How do I adapt myself to a YouTuber's needs, which is something very new. And on the other hand, I was really blown away by the Apple Mini, which is an extremely powerful computer, which can do high-end 4K video editing in a very small form factor. So these three things really blew my mind. And also, I think there is a proliferation of what you can do with AI, but what all new things you're able to do with AI. So one software that has been really fascinating for me, which is from a podcast space is very interesting, is Notebook LLM, which Google has released, right? Where it can convert anything into a conversational podcast. Literally anything. You just need to put in a URL, right? You don't need to write a script. It creates a script, it creates a conversation, and it voices it. It does it so well that most people can't figure out that it's AI generated. And now we are getting into the realm of more and more things that you can't figure out is AI generated.
So as we know, OpenAI was just recently introduced its 12-day update program where it was launching one after the other updates to its existing models. So O3 model is its latest frontier model, which is actually a model that is high on reasoning. It is essentially a reasoning model, which is a successor to the O1 model, which was launched in September. O1 was also a reasoning model, but with O3, they have brought something called the reinforcement learning on reasoning steps, which is essentially it gives a logical output in a step-by-step manner. And this is something that has reasoning as its superpower, and it helps in solving some complex tasks related to mathematics, coding, and science.
We just heard Indian Express's Bijan Jose talk about OpenAI's O3 model. So, Nandu, as Bijan said that O3 was a model of AI that could work on the basis of reasoning and logic. So, what does 2025 hold for AI?
So again, AI is moving gradually into that agent space where agents can take decisions based on a set of rules, and it gets better at taking those decisions, and it also becomes good enough to take a decision that this is something it cannot decide on, and then calls in the human, hey, maybe you should take a look into this. That is the evolution, and it's already happening, right? And again, it will get better. But on the other hand, what's happening is that you have to now look at, and this is a concept that I got from somebody else, is that you look at top of the line and below the line. What is top of the line is what humans will do. What is below the line is the mundane, archaic processes, which you can now relegate to AI. And the human frees himself or herself up to do better things. But then you have to constantly keep on doing better things which are better than what AI can do. So for humans, it's challenging, but it also opens up creativity in a big way, which also means that don't be surprised if humans come up with completely new things, because then you don't really have to waste your mental bandwidth on things that have been choking up your time for a long time.
Another thing that came up in 2024 was a trend of deepfakes. And in one of our episodes of our tech podcast, Our Own Devices, Nandagopal had spoken to Anand Trivedi, director Cyberproof, a UST company, who explained the whole concept of deepfakes.
When we talk about deepfakes, it's AI-generated content, whether it's audio, whether it's video, whether it's images. There are various forms and various levels to which deepfake is involved. It could be a video which is completely mustered with intent. It could be audio clips that are sent through social media, circulated through WhatsApp and other, sharing channels. So any content that is not real is termed as deepfake, and it could be floating on the internet, or it could be sent via mobile phones or shared internally. Now, when we are talking about deepfake, what's important is deepfake is again, and AI are very good technologies. They are shaping and helping us a lot in whatever we do. But the issue is primarily with the intent, right? With what intent is that information or deepfake being created? That's where the issue lies.
Deepfakes is one of the negative manifestations of AI.
I would say it's machine versus human. We need to use it, right? When we see something, we need to put it in context and evaluate whether it would be true or would it be false. And if we feel suspicious about it, we should validate, right? Especially depending on what action we are going to take. So the onus will definitely be on us to say whether we should accept it or not.
Deepfakes are an example of the kind of regulation that is required to be implemented by social media platforms to keep a check on the kind of content that floats on it. Talking about social media platforms, Nandu, we saw the downfall of some Indian platforms that couldn't sustain in the post-COVID era. But what would you say is in store for all the mainstream platforms like Instagram, X, TikTok, and all the others in 2025?
I think something new has to come out because it's coming to a point where you can say most of social media as we know it is falling apart. Okay, let's look at TikTok. It's already banned in India. It could very well get banned in the US as early as January. Then you look at X, which was a very popular global platform. It's getting owner-centric, to put it mildly, right? But it's all about one person, which also means that something like Blue Sky, which I've been using for a couple of weeks now, is exactly what Twitter used to be. It's just that there is no other feature there. It is old-fashioned Twitter, has become so popular literally overnight since Trump came to power. Because people are thinking Trump will not come to power and that will be the end of X and Elon Musk's hold on that social media thing. Now, since it's gone into a completely different space, it's all Elon, right? You cannot scroll X without finding 4 Elon tweets in every second, right? So that's, I think, going to put off most of the regular users. They will find newer things. And if you look at Facebook, Facebook has a problem with engagement, right? It's a place where old people like myself, go to find friends and family. It is not a social platform. Instagram has a lot of engagement, but it is also, I think, generating engagement on things that are not very kosher, right? It has a lot of stuff like which would, let me put it in a different way, which would make parents be very unhappy with their kids being on Instagram. It has a lot of that. So, in fact, the best and most engaging social media platform right now is YouTube. We don't maybe look at it as a social media platform, but it is the most engaging. But I think it's the making of a perfect storm for something really new to come out. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens in 2025. I wouldn't be surprised if it caters to a very young audience who are actually not there on any of these platforms, right? Because if you're really young, even Instagram is old for you. Right? If you're a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, you don't want to be on Instagram, right? You're moved to a Discord or you're moved to close groups where you are socializing with your friend circle. So based on these indicators, maybe something really new is going to hit us in 2025.
Now, Nandu, if we speak about gadgets and technology, what are some of the gadgets that you are looking forward to in 2025?
So I think in 2024, AI hitting hardware or good hardware based on AI has been complete disaster. We have two examples. One is the Rabbit R1 and the other one is the Humane Pin. Both of this were complete disaster. Like, again, first mover is not always an advantage. It's a disadvantage too. Like, you thought this is how people want to use it. That's not how it turned out to be. And you have AI now being integrated very well into smartphones. But I think in 2025, I wouldn't be surprised if you find maybe the first really useful AI gadgets. Let's look at it this way. What about a phone which runs just ChatGPT, right? Because a lot of apps or a lot of things that apps do can actually be done on ChatGPT. It's maybe like a co-pilot device. So don't be surprised if you actually find some really new gadgets come out. See, for a long time, I have been thinking that we are waiting for a disruptor. If the iPhone was the disruptor that took us into the smartphone era, it's about time that we got the next disruptor, which takes us into the post-smartphone era. We don't know what that is. It could be a device without a screen. It could be just audio. It could be, something that you wear as goggles. So a lot of these experimentations have happened, but nothing really concrete has come out. Maybe 2025 is the year. I've been saying this for 2, 3, 4 years, but you're just hoping that this is the year that it's going to happen. But I think a very useful AI-led device, I don't know what it is going to be, what form factor, might actually come true in 2025.
And if we continue talking about gadgets, can this disruptor be something in the form of a virtual reality or an augmented reality related gadget?
So in fact, in 2024, you already have one of the best augmented reality, virtual reality gadgets we have ever seen, which is the Ray-Ban glasses, which Meta is pushing, which is very popular in the US and all. India, it's still not available. But people are actually using this. But it has a limited usability right now, right? So you're not going to use it all the time. It has a limited usability. So I think these are early things. And again, AR, VR glass is nothing new, right? Google Glasses came out, I think, about 12 years back. Right? So, and there have been many versions of it. Even now you can buy many versions of it. There are Snap spectacles, there are many other devices out there, but nothing solves all your problems. Everything tries to solve one part of it, right? So you might see something really big happen in this space. But my sense is that goggles or anything that you wear, in your eyes or somebody called, I think there's a word for it, facial computing. It has limited use case for users, as in everybody can't use it. For instance, personally, if I wear a VR glass, I feel disoriented after 5 minutes. So not everybody is going to be adopting this. So it has a limited use case. So if anybody who wears prescription glasses, it's going to be very, very difficult even to wear the Apple Vision Pro. It takes 10 minutes of adjusting the thing to get to that space. So it has limitations. So it has to be a form factor which is beyond this. That is really big.
And Nandu, 2025, what is that one big change that you are genuinely looking forward to in the realm of tech and AI?
One big change, I think, again, this I keep saying year after year, is that more gadgets or technology or software that solves real human problems. For instance, AI helping solve a lot of health issues. AI is already solving a lot of health issues, but AI solving health issues at scale. An app that can, for instance, read all your medical reports and give you the right, reading, all of that. See, again, it might not be a consumer facing thing, but AI can, especially where you don't have enough doctors, can help with that first level diagnosis and all in a big way. And that's just one example, right? So AI, for instance, running real time on your phone, ensuring that the battery of the phone is used only for apps or software that you are really using, right? Not everything else on your phone. So these kind of things, right? So I think we are still in a very gimmicky space on what AI is doing on smartphones and laptops and all of that. I am hoping it'll actually start solving problems for people next year.
In another episode of Our Own Devices, Nandu had a conversation with Sivakumar Selvaganapathy, Vice President of OpenBlue India Software Engineering and APAC at Johnson Controls, where they had talked about using AI to solve real-life problems and make buildings more sustainable and green.
What's happening is all of the companies, countries, and regions, now they're committing for sustainability goals. Some take 2030, some take 2070, so on and so forth. And particularly in the context of India, we do have SEBI-mandated BRSR reporting. And all these are enabled by data, right? So that's where artificial intelligence comes in. And the way we have to look at is how do we make the buildings not only operationally efficient, but also intelligent enough? Because we are talking about Gen Yers and Gen Zers coming into the building as occupants, and their expectations are completely different. So in addition to making operationally efficient, how do we really make sure the indoor air quality is better, the space are optimized, and also looking at how do we really optimize our energy bills and at the same time make the buildings much more greener. So that's where the data-driven artificial intelligence and machine learning comes into picture. And at Johnson Controls, we focus on commercial building solutions and sustainability in the way we work across our businesses and functions. We help enable our customers and clients, and at the end of the day, save our planet. And all these are enabled by data-driven decision-making and also infusing AI and machine learning, and most recently, also generative AI in some of the use cases where a customer wanted to solve a problem.
Sivakumar Selvaganapathy shared how data and AI can be put to use to make buildings sustainable and green. 2024 witnessed a lot of developments and saw AI enter the lives of the general public. 2025 brings new and exciting possibilities that can definitely transform what technology and AI can do. You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by me, Niharika Nanda. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it. Share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Audio and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.